"You can take my teddy, you look sad," a little girl told the CEO in the park, not knowing she just healed him. The autumn wind carried a chill through the city park, scattering golden leaves across the quiet pathways. On a worn wooden bench near the fountain sat Alexander Reed, a man the world knew as one of the most powerful CEOs in America. His face was on magazine covers, his name echoed in boardrooms, his empire stretched across continents. But here, in the park where no one recognized him behind his dark coat and lowered head, Alexander was just a broken man. His wife had passed away months ago after a long battle with illness, and though his company flourished, his soul had withered. He hadn't smiled in weeks. He came to the park every day not for peace but because it was the only place he could breathe without pretending. As he sat staring at the rippling water, feeling the weight of grief pressing harder than the cold, a small pair of sneakers squeaked against the pavement. A little girl, no more than 7, with pigtails and a pink jacket, stopped right in front of him. She hugged a threadbare teddy bear to her chest, its fur faded from years of love. For a moment, she just studied him with the innocent boldness only children carry. Then she said softly, "Mister, you look sad." Alexander blinked, surprised. Adults avoided him when he looked this way, too many were afraid of approaching a stranger with such heavy eyes. But this child did not turn away. He forced a smile, the kind he used in business meetings, and muttered, "I'm fine, sweetheart." But the girl tilted her head, unconvinced. Then, without hesitation, she held out her teddy bear. Its stitched eye dangled loosely, its ear slightly torn. "You can take my teddy," she said gently. "He makes me feel better when I cry. Maybe he can help you too." The words pierced through Alexander like light breaking through storm clouds. He stared at the toy, then at the girl's wide, earnest eyes. No one had offered him anything in months, no comfort, no kindness, only condolences and obligations. And here was this little stranger offering her most precious possession. His throat tightened. "Why would you give Teddy to me?" he asked, voice unsteady. "Because you look like you need a friend more than I do right now," she answered simply. Alexander's eyes blurred. He had sat in rooms filled with billion-dollar contracts and leaders of nations, yet no words had ever struck him as deeply as those spoken by this child. He reached out slowly, accepting the teddy with trembling hands. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice breaking. The girl smiled as though she had just solved a great problem. Then she plopped down beside him on the bench, swinging her legs. "My mommy says when we share, we make the world less heavy. Is your world heavy, mister?" Alexander closed his eyes. For the first time, he allowed himself to say the truth out loud. "Yes, very heavy." She nodded knowingly. "That's why I gave you Teddy. He's strong. He can carry some of it for you." At that moment, Alexander's grief cracked open. Silent tears rolled down his cheeks, and the little girl, so small, so fragile, patted his arm with a tenderness that no business partner, no colleague, no associate had shown him. The simplicity of her compassion undid years of hardened walls. Her mother soon appeared, calling her name, Lily. She hurried over, apologizing to Alexander for her daughter's boldness. But Alexander shook his head, clutching the teddy to his chest. "Please don't apologize. Your daughter, she just gave me something no one else could." The mother looked puzzled, but Lily only grinned and whispered, "See? I told you Teddy's magic." That night, Alexander placed the teddy on the empty pillow beside him where his late wife once lay. For the first time in months, he didn't feel utterly alone. The child's words echoed, "Maybe he can help you too." And somehow, Teddy did. In the weeks that followed, Alexander began returning to the park not out of grief, but with hope that he might see Lily again. He even began carrying small toys and books to give to children playing there, remembering how one little act of kindness had begun to heal him. Eventually, he met Lily and her mother again. Quietly, without telling them who he truly was, he supported them, ensuring Lily's school had what it needed, arranging opportunities for her hardworking single mother. Not because he felt indebted, but because kindness, once received, begs to be passed on. Years later, Alexander would often tell the story to his board members and employees, how a 7-year-old girl reminded him that humanity matters more than profit, that compassion is stronger than grief, and that sometimes healing comes not from the grand but from the small. And on his desk, beside all the awards and contracts, sat a faded teddy bear with a stitched eye and a worn ear. A reminder that the smallest hearts can carry the greatest wisdom. Because one autumn afternoon, a little girl looked at the saddest man in the park and said, "You can take my teddy, you look sad," and with that simple gift, she gave him back the will to live. Message: true healing often begins with the smallest acts of kindness. A child's heart can teach us more about love, compassion, and humanity than all the wealth in the world.